Welcome to Postcards from Palisade, the podcast about the people and places that make this slice of Western Colorado wonderful. I'm Lisa McNamara. I recently sat down with two of Palisade's top wine pourers over a couple bottles of local red to find out what really happens behind the scenes at your favorite tasting rooms and wineries. Let's get right into it on today's Postcard from Palisade.
Welcome to K-Rock.
I used to be a DJ.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Amy, the more you talk to Amy, the more things she's done in her life. She's raced sailboats, bike courier.
Raced sailboats?
I did.
See, I told you the more you talked to
Bike
her.
courier. That's so cool. We can do a whole
She
episode about like all the things Amy's
Did
done.
warranty work on dirty underwear at Patagonia?
Patagonia.
That will require a
podcast
second
itself.
glass of wine.
Yeah. Well, cheers.
Yes,
Thank you
cheers.
So much for coming.
Cheers.
Absolutely,
Clink,
our
clink.
pleasure.
Not a very satisfying sound here. But. So, I like to start off just by having people introduce themselves. You don't have to use your last names if you don't want, because it's up to you. So,
I'll start. I'm Amy DiMarzio from Colorado, Grand Junction, born and raised.
I'm Michael Martin. I'm an Aquarian, and I like long walks on the beach. I'm originally born in Wisconsin, been in Colorado for almost 30 years.
I'm Lisa. Everybody knows that. So thanks so much for coming in.
So you secret shopped me, though. See, I didn't
sure
know
did.
who you were. So Lisa came in and made me go through an entire tasting with her and her guests.
Well, it's my mother-in-law.
Oh, so you have to
Scouting me out the
Yeah.
entire time, and then at the end she goes, "I'm Lisa. I have the podcast."
And I was like, "Are you Michael?" Because I've never met you. I didn't know
Yeah.
anything. I didn't know what you look like.
That's what I said. Michael
was
has
just
to do it because
That's probably Michael.
we're the A-team.
Well, then I had this flashback. I'm like, "Oh my God, was it like a good tasting? Was it okay?"
It was wonderful.
So you just made me nervous after the fact.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I really like the way that you do the tasting there, and how it's just like
I
I'm gonna
learned
bring this stuff
everything
to
from
you,
Amy.
and-
So.
Yeah. Well, so tell me, what do you prefer to be called? Like, are you a wine pourer? Are you a tasting room associate? Like, what?
Well, that's
what
a
do
good
you
question.
call?
It's funny, when I first started working at Mesa Park, Laura and I went out and I said, "What is my official title?" She's like, "Whatever you want it to be." Because all these people were there from like the bigger wineries that were like, "I'm a TWA." I was like, "What's a TWA? What is that?" Like everybody had all these official, and I was like, "What am I?" And Laura was like, "Number one." That's where number one came. No, I don't know what. We're just working the tasting room.
Tasting room, yeah. There was a review, a Google review left, and someone referred to me as a vintner. So I'm gonna go as the vintner. How's that?
Isn't the vintner one that be the winemaker?
Why don't you know what a vintner is?
So do people ever assume that you're the owner? Of
Oh
the
my
winery?
All the
God!
time.
They
think
they
we're
assume
married.
we're married.
Yeah.
They
Oh.
assume I'm Courtney's dad.
Yeah.
They thought I was when we were at Mesa. They thought I was Brandon Black numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think they see an older male and there's an assumption, and I'm like, no, trust me, I am hired help. So
Yeah, I worked in a tasting room in New York for almost a year. So I definitely, this was only 10 years ago. And only once did somebody assume that I was the wine owner. But there was an older guy, probably like 65, 70. And everybody assumed he was the owner.
yeah, it's kind of a shame
Well,
because I mean, look
At
what
Mesa Park, Laura was a blonde, so if I wasn't the owner, then they're like, "Oh, you're her sister," and I'm like, "No, I'm just paid help, just here, good friends."
well, and then people find out it's Jackie and Courtney, and then they
And
find
they
out
think-
Courtney's 27 years old, and the
Yeah,
jaw
they think I'm her
drops.
mom. Yeah.
So and that's
Oh, that's funny.
a credit to what Laura and Courtney have done. So
Yeah, at 27, I was not anywhere. No.
Oh, no.
You
I was sailing the Caribbean.
You
yeah.
were racing
I was
sailboats
racing
in Ireland.
sailboats in
Yeah.
the Caribbean.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, how did you get around to this then, Amy? Like, how did you find your way to working in a tasting room?
So I stayed home with my daughter Kylie after we moved back. She was 1 and kind of had the opportunity to do that and helped out at her school quite a bit. I taught her art. And then was like, all right, it's time. Like, she's getting older. It's time for me to get a job. But she ski races in the winter, so I have to have my winters off because she travels a lot and stuff. So I was talking to my husband. He was like, "What about working in a winery? You love wine." Like, it just all made sense. And then it just happened. It's like one of those weird things. I saw Mesa Park popped up on one of my social medias, and I was like, "Oh, this is it." And I had been to Mesa Park before a long time ago, and they had this great story for it. So I was like, it just seems like it's supposed to be, and it was. And the rest is history.
How long did you work there?
4 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really close.
Yeah.
How about you, Michael? How did you get around to it?
I started and ran a business in Denver for 24 years and sold it. And my wife and I started kicking the tires on where we wanted to retire in Colorado. Number one was to stay in Colorado. Cut to the chase, we chose the Grand Valley, of course. And when we moved here, I thought, wow, there's this cool AVA like right next door. How?
So you didn't know that there was an AVA here before you moved here?
I did, but I didn't spend much time out in Palisade.
Yeah.
But then we got here, and I thought, well, we were big hikers, so we would do trips, and inevitably the trip would be close to some wine region, whether it was Bordeaux or whether it was Southern Rhone or wherever. And so we always enjoyed wine, so we picked up wine knowledge from our travels. But I saw the ad for Mesa Park, and I looked at the qualifications that Laura was looking for. Previous tasting room experience, no. Bartending experience, no. Waitress or waiter experience, no. So I thought I'm completely qualified for this job. To Laura's credit, she took a chance with me, and it was funny because I thought I would be there maybe 2 weeks, and I was just doing it completely on a whim. And
You thought you would only last 2 weeks?
I'm surprised I lasted that long anyway. But so I was hired a month after you, Amy. Does that sound right?
I started in May, and I think you started like August. So
Yeah.
Couple months.
So we're both, in our 4th season of doing this now for a job that I personally thought would last,
Season
10
maybe.
days. So.
What kept you coming back? What got you hooked?
Oh my God! There was something so endearing and so relaxing going from a business environment to pouring wine and conversing with people, and people who are coming from outside the area. So now you're a tour guide. You're helping people. You're helping people on their wine journey. They ask questions about how I got in the role, how the grapes are grown, when do they harvest them, where do we pick the strawberries for the strawberry notes in the rosé. So it was just all of a sudden it became 100% fun. And then you have the opportunity to work with people like Amy, which makes it even more fun because we just sort of gelled with how we worked in the tasting room, mutual respect and
Super fun.
taking care of people,
Laughing.
selling wine. I mean, how can you not love a job like that,
I know.
right? So
Yeah. So are you like a package deal now?
it was funny when the whole thing came to. Amy got like offers from every winery within a 100-mile range.
Awesome.
So for me, it was a little more difficult. I reached out to Blue Beryl and I talked to Courtney, and Courtney said, we could probably agree on maybe a couple $100 for it to work. And I said, I think it can come up with that the next day. So,
I was like, what happened? I don't know. I'm like, you have to pay Courtney? They paid me.
So I met with Courtney and Jackie, and it went really well. And they said, come on board. And I said, I'm really going to try to get Amy to join. So I kept texting Amy the next day. I said, Amy, it's God. Come to the Blue Beryl. Amy, it's Buddha. Come to the Blue
Buddha
Beryl.
says, come to the Blue
Amy,
Beryl.
it's the ghost of Christmas past. Come to the Blue Beryl.
He literally texted me, I think, like 6 different times.
Yeah.
And I was like, doing something. And I kept laughing. And my friend was like, what's going on? I'm like, nothing. Michael's being
So it all worked out.
It all worked out, yeah.
No, it's great. I think we're a really good team. So,
We're very
and I think, knock on wood, we're appreciated. So.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You're doing an awesome job there. In my incognito and not incognito test.
You're the secret shopper, the secret wine drinker.
Right. But the wine there's awesome too. So
Yeah.
I mean, you must. I assume you have some criteria of like you want to work somewhere that has good wine.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't drink. I couldn't drink somewhere where I don't like the wine. I couldn't
There's a
work
few-
somewhere where I don't like the wine. It just
Yeah.
it's hard like selling something you don't believe in. You know.
Mhm.
It's- No, we definitely had been there before. Like so, Jackie grew our grapes for Mesa Park, so we kind of knew their backstory a little bit, and I knew that Courtney had worked under Ken at Hermosa. So I knew this winery was coming a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like we were all like so excited. Like, ugh. I think that me and Laura and Brandon went day one. We were probably like the second or third people to go in the doors, and we were like, wow. Like Courtney for being, I mean, what was she, 26 when they opened?
Mm.
Like, imagine what she's gonna. I mean, she's already killing it, but imagine in 10, 20 years, like
Yeah.
where it's gonna be.
Funny story is the very first winery my wife and I went to in the Grand Valley was Hermosa upon recommendation. And when we walked in the door, there was this blonde behind the tasting room bar, and it was Courtney. So it was funny. So Courtney served us, and then she would come over to Mesa Park, and I had the chance to serve her.
Mm-hmm.
And now we work for her.
Full circle. I know, it's just
That's so
crazy that we all have these like little stories about how it started and.
So have you ever, either at Blue Beryl or anywhere in the past, have you ever poured wine for a famous person?
I have not personally that I know of.
I thought there was that woman that was on Below Deck, the
Oh my God, I
reality
love that
series.
show.
Who?
Wasn't there the woman that came in that one day? She was on Below Deck.
So one of my friends, Nikki, was on Below Deck.
Wasn't
No
she
way.
in?
Oh yeah, she was like her whole family went. They live here, and they were on like 2 or 3 episodes, I guess. That
Like the
ran
guests?
as the guests, yeah.
Man, I gotta
It's funny. It's a good one.
There was an autographed picture behind the bar at Mesa
Oh,
Park
that was the country singer.
of a country band, and I would always flash it out, and I'd ask people, "Who is this?" And every once in a while, people would get it right. It was
I had no
Rascal
idea.
Flats,
Oh.
and so they were in the winery, not when I was there.
So
but
there
they
was
were
one
there.
famous person. What is the? So I'm not a huge country music person. Dirks and Dunn, is that right? Is that as country?
also not huge.
So, anyways, I guess they have this huge winery in like Tennessee or something, and one of them came in and he's like, "Oh, I'm blah blah blah," and I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you," like, and it was just like nothing. And he was like, "Oh, I have a winery," like, blah blah blah, and he's like, "A country music singer,"
Like
and
you
I was,
should know who I
yeah,
am.
and I'm
you
like,
can
"Oh,"
tell
like, and I'm
better.
kind of glad I did it because I was just like, whatever, and then I think he laughed, and I was like, "Laura," like, blah. She's like, "Oh my gosh, like,
Oh my
that's
god!
amazing."
Oh my god!
Yeah, like
Did-
old school country music.
There was a gentleman, I'm not going to remember his name because I'm really bad with names, but he was one of our wine club members, and he was a former NFL referee. So I don't know how high up on the celebrity scale that is, but at least it was an interesting job.
I'm actually surprised that we never had. Courtney had Bobby Benton come in. Like
Really?
The Playboy, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
I was like, ooh, that would have been. I would have been like, so tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me all the things. All the Playboy Mansion secrets.
Ooh, that would be interesting. Yeah, so for the most part, it's people from out of town, though. Like, just
It's-
people visiting.
Yeah, it's
5% of the time. It's
yeah.
Salt Lake or Denver.
Yeah,
Okay.
big Front Range groups, Colorado Springs, Denver, Fort Collins. Second, I would say people from Utah, and then third is
Now, in the last year, you're getting more destination people. People that are like, oh, I read about it in
oh yeah, I've had people
US
come in
today,
and
and like, or,
they're like, we came out here to ski Powderhorn. And I'm like, where are you from? Oh, Atlanta. Like, how did you find out about Powderhorn in Atlanta?
now it's our little secret is getting.
Yeah, no,
It's
there are.
getting out.
Yeah. There's also a kind of a third group that I think are like people driving from like Vegas to Chicago or Vegas to North,
people that are stopping.
and they realize, oh, there's this wine region, so they spend the night and they have no idea, and they walk into the first winery they see, and then they realize there's 30 some odd extra wineries here, and they had no idea there was a wine region. And then I blow their mind and tell them that there's a second wine region in Colorado.
At
That's what's
least.
so fun. It's just like educating people about Colorado wine and what there is to do and see here besides just everybody's like sweet wine. Like I get so tired. You don't hear that as much anymore, but it just drives me crazy when people are like, oh, well, it's always been sweet wine. And I'm like, actually, it hasn't always been sweet wine.
Right, and the percentage that's sweet wine today, it's got to be, 5%?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're talking St. Catherine,
Right,
Winery,
fruit wines.
few
Mhm.
few
Yeah.
places that will always have like a little dessert wine or something. But
Yeah.
for the most part, you have to search out the sweet wines.
Right.
No offense to the Chamber of Commerce, but I think what Amy and I do probably enhances the travel in the valley more than what the Chamber does.
Oh my gosh.
Chamber, love you.
Love you, Chamber.
Do you want that on the record?
Well, because people come in and like, where should I hike? Where should I eat?
Oh yeah.
You know, what else should I do? What other wineries should I go to? And that's, people bring it up all the time, that there is camaraderie amongst the wineries. No one is out to dump on anyone else. Everyone is wanting guests to have a great experience, and what kind of wines are you looking for? What kind of experience are you looking for? And then we can guide them to wherever they want to end up. And there's some phenomenal wineries.
And when people's always like, but what's your favorite? I'm like, well, it depends on what day it is. What's the weather like outside? I love them all.
Yeah, I think everybody in town is like an unofficial tour guide. I'm
Yes.
always overhearing people giving advice. Like if you go into the bike shop and they're doing the bike rental, it's like, they're like, well, where should I go? You know, so yeah, I hear you. I think everybody in town.
Well, that's the thing. I want to be
interacts
treated
with
how, like, when I go on vacation and go to a winery or go to a restaurant, like, and I ask, I want to have that experience that I want, you know. So make people feel fun and also be like, this is where you have to go. These are the things you have to see.
No, that's true.
Depending
Yeah.
on how much time they have, what they're looking for. But yeah, just treat people like you want to be treated. It's pretty. Because we've all been on that trip where, like, a snobby wine pourer, and you're like, really? There's no need.
Yeah.
You're really not even busy.
Yeah, definitely. So, how about horror stories? So, what's like the worst thing that's ever happened?
Merlot, man.
Do you want to tell them Merlot? I'll
You
start.
can
I'll
I'll
start.
finish it.
So we just this is at Mesa Park, and we just bottled a phenomenal Merlot. It had Daryl the dog as the picture on the bottle, and so it was just bottled, complete bottle shock state, and it was available to purchase but not to taste.
We didn't even have it. It wasn't even available for purchase.
Right.
We didn't have it on the menu. Like, it wasn't even.
Right. Because at that
tasting.
stage, it's not going to taste good.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be like what it's going to be like in a couple weeks, even. Which-
Yeah.
But you know, it's just
It's
not.
not. It wasn't right. No,
yeah,
that's
but it
fine.
wasn't even
Yeah.
on the menu. It wasn't available for
Yeah.
anything.
But a gentleman and his wife walked in, and he was a pilot. And the old story is, how do you know when someone's a pilot? They tell you.
They tell you.
Yeah.
So he wanted to taste the Merlot because he said to me, I what if I want to buy a case? I have to taste it first. And I was trying to impress upon him that it was just bottled and it would just be really astringent, and it's not going to make any sense. And he got a little ornery about it, and he said, well, let me talk to your manager. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this flash of blonde hair, and Laura Black, the owner, has blonde hair. And I thought, okay, there's Laura. She can take this dude. I turned to my left and I said, well, that's her. And there's Amy standing there.
I'm like, bring it on. I'll take it. You don't scare me.
He
Merlot.
doesn't
So
know.
he was not friendly. He had obviously been doing heavily day drinking. And his wife, I think you could purely see the embarrassment in her face because he was making a scene. He was pissed, and so finally I said, listen, we'll sell you Merlot, but we're not opening a bottle. Like, how much do you want? And he bought a case.
No.
But then tell him the rest of the story.
So that was always a good thing, like, about training or just, and just the Merlot man. So it was just a big inside joke with this all Merlot guy. Because 99.9% of the people you run into are happy and traveling. You're drinking wine.
Mm-hmm.
You might get a crier here and there, or like, whoa, that have been too many people drinking. But
You ran into him again, though.
so I ran into him, like probably a year later. We were flying. It was right after COVID, like, and we were flying to Florida. And we drove to Denver, and we were doing a park and fly thing. And my friend that lives in Denver came to meet me for like the free happy hour at the hotel. Really bad wine, right? And we're sitting there, we were talking about Palisade, and she was talking about my job and somehow Mesa Park. And I hear this guy go, that's how I know you work at Mesa Park. And I made eye contact with him, and I was like, Merlot man, dun dun dun. And he goes on to tell me on and on about how much he loves our wine and how that was the best Merlot he's ever had. And he is traveling to Hawaii with his family and blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, like, he had just recently retired from, like, oil field work or something. And he just got his pilot license. So he does, like, the little, like, puddle jumper flights. Like, so he's not this big guy that flies all over. Once again, I think he had been drinking too much. Just talk. So the next day, we're all getting our flights and taking the shuttle. Well, he's in his full uniform, pilot uniform. I was like, oh, so you're actually flying to Hawaii? He's like, no, I wear this so we don't have to go through security. And I'm like, of course you do. Boop. Like, that's so Merlot man. Like, that's who you are. So, yeah, so that was, and then again he came into our lives. He came in to Mesa Park and thought Laura was me and sat there and was like, don't you remember me? I saw you in Denver. And Laura's like, I don't know who you are. Because she had never had the privilege of meeting him. But then she quickly figured it out and was like, you'll never believe who's here. And I was like, Merlot man? She was like, yep.
The reality is you serve 1,000 people and 999 of them are enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
So there really aren't.
Well, he
that
enjoyed
many.
it after, but he was just very like, there's those people that are like, I want this and I want it now, and there's no.
Yeah.
And he got what he wanted. It worked.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, I'm impressed that he bought a whole case of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of put.
I don't
his
think he
money
tipped
toward
us at
it.
all.
Yeah.
No. That's a whole nother subject. We could do a podcast just on tips.
Well, I was curious about tips. Yeah, like what's the best tip you've ever gotten? I know a lot of people don't tip at all. And it's like when I came in and Amy gave me a glass of wine, and I was like, Amy, I don't have any cash. So I still owe her a margarita. But anyway, yeah, what's the best tip you've ever gotten?
I know the best we got together, and I know the best I got individually. So
The best we got together probably was that night the guy came in. We kind of know his family, but I didn't know him at the time. And it was like closing, and I had a Christmas party to get to, and I was like, and we did, I think it was like wine and pie. We did something that day, so we were pretty tired.
It was a big day, and it was we were closing.
It was like closed. Like we were like shut down, and he came in and I was like, hey, we're closed. We'll sell you bottles or whatever. And he grabbed a $100 bill and put it in the thing, and he said, are you still closed? And we're like, nope, we're open.
We are open.
Sit down, let's do a tasting. And I was like, are you okay with that? And so yeah, that was fun. And he bought a couple bottles of wine, I think, and he still tipped us on his credit card too.
He came back a few times after that too. He was a really nice guy. He would always have a different girlfriend with him. I remember that.
Yeah.
So, but biggest tip for me is I got $200 one day, and Laura could see because we use the Square system, and so Laura sees every transaction, and she came flying out into the winery. She was like, it's a mistake, and I'm like, no, they had a really good time. It's true.
Don't say anything. No, but like you were just like, right? Like,
But you didn't even know him, don't you know him?
I knew him, and they all joined wine club, and it was just like everything. It clicked on all cylinders, and they left just smiling and giggling. It was one of those perfect things, and then I thought about that night, and I told Laura the next day. I said, "But maybe you're right. Maybe it was a mistake." She was like, "No, you completely convinced me. It's correct." And I was like, "Great, thank you very much."
I don't know what my biggest tip was. I mean, it's just always nice when people actually tip. Like and I noticed it when I was at Mesa. People would tip on food, but not on wine, which I think is so weird. Like we would literally carrying people's wine out to their car, like tasting, like
right.
It's being a wine tasting room associate or whatever you want to call it, whatever name you want to put on it. Like especially Michael and I, we do all the classes. I mean, Laura was amazing. She would pay for most all of our classes.
Yes.
Benco, we'd always split it. There's a lot of education that goes into this.
Yeah.
We're just not like, I mean, sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, but like for the most part, we know what we're talking about.
No, we went through a sensory tasting class to understand where different flavor notes hit on your tongue and how important the nose is.
At least
in
once
tasting.
a year, we do a class with Jenny Baldwin Eaton, and then
Try holding your nose and tasting anything and see what you get. You get literally nothing.
Yeah.
So it's a whole thing. Like
So I have an
you
extra
to be here
advantage.
educated on this wine, and the way we do wine tastings, there's so many where they just pour them in a cup and send you on your way. Like I want to tell you that story. I want to be part of your wine tasting experience. I want to answer questions.
It's individually poured and explained wines, and that adds to the whole experience that the customer has.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Right, Amy?
I think we deserve our tips.
I think so too.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
actually the majority of our compensation is tips, and we hoof it to get tips. And not everyone tips, and I still don't understand that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But, we do appreciate it when people tip.
Even bringing
Absolutely.
water to the table and pouring our water glasses.
Yeah.
So many people just are like, oh, the water station's over there. Like, help yourself. But, I like having that service. Like, wine's not cheap, so let's make it worth it.
It makes it a different experience. It's a whole experience instead of just,
And it used to really hurt my feelings when somebody would like stiff you. Like you're like, like somebody will buy a case of wine, tasting, and there's this thing what we call verbal tippers. They're like, this was the best. Like, loved it. Like, you deserve a raise. Blah blah blah. And they leave.
and then you know
like that
then
zero.
you
yeah,
get-
then you know they're not going to tip you.
And you get nothing.
And I'm like, if you can't afford a tip, then go to a liquor store.
Yeah.
You can grab
Right.
whatever you want. You
Right.
don't have to deal with me. Like,
Wine is one of the few things, in my opinion, that can take you back to a time and place. So you open a bottle that you may have had on vacation or whatever, and that's the experience that we give people when they come to Palisade. They'll buy a bottle, they'll take it home, they'll open up Thanksgiving, and they'll be like, that's right, we had that great time at Blue Barrel and Palisade.
Michael and Amy were amazing. They're my best friends.
Yeah, so it's a quick connection back to hopefully a good time in someone's life, and that's part of the experience that we deliver, and that's the role we play, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying quiet, like we're not disturbing.
Don't
No, I was more.
Michael,
It was
you got
more like in the
shushed.
context. Just so you know, it
It's
wasn't
not the
about.
first
Not
time
the
Michael's
first
ever been
time.
Oh,
shushed.
sorry. No, I was not shushing you. I was not shushing you. So
I
don't
was
don't
shushing
feel.
you.
I didn't think it was. I thought maybe there was like
No, I think
Doctor down the
I think
hall or
Hannah's
something.
here, but I don't. I mean, she's all the way at the other end of the hall.
she's
so
just like
it's
Lisa's got guests over there,
They're drinking wine.
jibber jabbing about
Yeah,
wine.
They're popping bottles already.
No, so you don't have to worry.
That's fine.
Gosh. Anyway, sorry. I just want to make sure you knew that I wasn't shushing you. Please don't be self-conscious.
I'm hard to offend, except by Merlot man. So.
Oh, Merlot. Man.
Well, I will tell you, I never got a very good tip because the tipping culture wasn't the same, although we did still make minimum wage.
Where were you at?
In upstate New York.
Okay.
One time, I thought I got a $10 tip, and that would have been the best tip I had ever gotten.
Wow.
And I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, you didn't give them their change. The tasting was like $4 a piece, and she was like, oh, that covers it, like they gave you a $2 tip. So I would go in the next day, and I was like, put the $10 in the cash box, take out $2,
See, that's good though. So you're honest about it though.
No, but I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was just like, oh my God.
Don't you hate that? Like,
Yeah.
I've woken up in the
Yeah.
middle of the night so many times, and it usually happens for like big parties where like they're ordering
They're
glasses
dipping
and
their
bottles.
water.
And I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh, they ordered one more bottle, and I forgot to charge them.
yeah, that's the worst when you're like, Laura, or like, Courtney, I think.
Oh, man.
And you always remember it at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and always, that's when all the important stuff comes out.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah, please.
So when I worked at Mesa Park, 90% of the time I would wear a baseball cap that said Mesa Park on the front. So one day I go to work and I decided not to wear the hat that day. So this couple comes in and I recognize them. I'm like, oh, I've served you guys before. And they're like, yeah, we were here last fall and we had a really good time. There was this really personable gentleman that served us. And I was like, oh, that was me. I'm the only guy that works in the...
gentleman.
I'm the personable gentleman. I'm the only guy that works in the tasting room. And she looks at me and she goes, no, he had a hat on.
Oh my God. We were just like,
I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. That wasn't me.
My favorite, twice I've been asked if the Grand Mesa is still an active volcano. And I'm like, yes, it is.
it could blow at any moment.
Amy's told people that we have to have volcano insurance in the valley.
Yeah, like, just so you know, we need all the money in the tip jar because we have to pay for volcano insurance.
Well, it is an ancient volcano.
So it's really expensive.
So expensive. So expensive.
It's too funny. Well, so like, what's the best part of the job?
The people. Getting to meet people from all over. You never know what you're going to get every single day, people are like, how was work today? I'm like, it was weird. Like, it was never, you never go in and you're like, if you think it's going to be busy, it's dead. And if you're like, oh, today I just need like a chill day to get some stuff done, like I want to label and just do stuff around. And then it's like so busy you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, I say people, number one, it's everyone has a different story. Everyone has interesting things to share. 80% of the people you serve are from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's the best part. It definitely fills my social bucket. At the end of the day, I don't really feel like talking anymore. But the second thing that I find enjoyable is I'm a wine geek at heart. And to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with someone like Brandon Black or Courtney, who makes the wine and makes decisions on what goes into that wine.
Tasting the grapes before they're made, like
it's just
harvesting the grapes, like doing the whole thing, bottling, like watching them press, like just knowing the whole thing and like getting to be part of it.
Yeah.
And then seeing how many hands touch one bottle before it's actually handed off to that final home. And you never know, it might be given as a gift to put away, and how many more hands are going to touch it.
You would bow down and give homage to every bottle of wine you drank if you knew how much work went into that one.
Oh, and especially these small family-owned and operated, I mean, to the like, you know, the hard field workers, to the, I mean, the planting of the grapes. It's just, it's amazing to me that bottles of wine are only like $40.
Right. Everybody says, oh, it's so expensive. Like, it's amazing to me that a wine could be like $3 chuck. Like, how is that so cheap?
Because it's such big production.
Yeah,
and like
they make them in like these industrial tanks.
Well, even when you go to like Colteris or like Carlson and you see how many cases they do a year, but they have like whole bottling lines, like it's just everything happens all at once. Like we're literally at Blue Beryl, we literally peel off a label, hand, like no crank machine right now,
no wrinkles allowed.
Yeah, like I'm hand labeling right now, like it's a whole.
Yeah.
I'm like, this bottle is. Somebody walked in, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, labeling. I'm like, I thought there was. I'm like, there usually is, but it's just not working. So guess what I'm doing? Hand labeling.
So I was more involved with the bottling at Mesa Park, but a bottle gets gassed, it gets filled. So it goes from one hand to another hand, it gets filled, goes to another hand, gets corked, goes to another hand, it goes in the case gets put away, goes into another hand later when the bottle gets put on the shelf, then it gets sold. I mean, think about how many people have touched that one bottle.
Well, after we bottle it, we label it, then we have to,
Oh, it has to be labeled too.
There's totally a sanitizing stuff,
and a
right?
capsule put on it. So
I'm so glad we don't do capsules.
yeah. So just think about how many people have touched that.
Yeah. I was in really great shape then because like carrying cases of wine around, up and downstairs, things like that, it's a good workout.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if people haven't been to Blue Beryl yet, the whole wine elevator is so cool. I love that.
So cool. Can you explain what it is for people who haven't been there yet?
So Courtney and her husband Zach had this house and lived in it for 2 or 3 years before they decided that was the perfect spot for the winery. They thought about trying to renovate the old house, but it just didn't make sense. Like it was built in 1902 or something, maybe 1903.
It was one of the original houses in Palisade.
So they ended up tearing it down, and when they tore it down, they didn't realize that there was a water cistern there. And she was like, no wonder the floor was wonky. It still had like 2 feet of water in it. So they're like,
from
okay.
1902.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't have like mold problem. But anyway, so they were like, all right, we have this huge hole in the ground. We've got to do something cool. So Jackie and they all came up with this idea to do a wine elevator. So it goes up and down, and they also took a bit of the idea from the Mandalay Bay and the Wine Angels in Vegas, kind of how they were all, the wine bottles were stuck there. And yeah, it's gorgeous. They did such a good job.
So they're kind of suspended in
by wire,
Yeah, and there's a whole lighting system in there that can change colors, and a disco ball drops down. No,
climate control in there. That would be cool.
Oh man, I know what you mean. Oh, so the Mandalay Bay place. This is funny. I was there for a conference. This is like forever ago. Probably when I was 27 or 28. And I was like, I gotta go there, and I gotta see the Wine Angels. I gotta like order some wine.
Cool, isn't it?
So so I went, and I was like, okay, how do I get wine that comes from that thing? And they were like, you can't afford that.
Don't you love it when somebody
What are
says
the
you
price
can't?
Yes,
They
I-
start at like $300 or $400 to get the wine angel to go up. But then you have to tip
It was
her.
a
But then you have the whole
ton.
experience with the wine.
I think it was like $1,000 or something.
Wasn't
Oh,
it?
shit.
I mean, I know it's a lot. By the
I
time
was
you
like-
have to pay a fee.
Okay, well, I'll have something by the glass, please.
You're like trying to watch. Somebody order a bottle of wine.
I know nobody did. I drank like 3 glasses of wine there, and I hung out for a while just waiting to see somebody go up. Nobody went up like that whole night.
Maybe we can get Jackie or Courtney to hang out in the elevator and just be like a wine.
Suspended.
Yeah.
It's like a
You should be the wine
holiday.
angel. Oh, can I tell a funny story about the guy that came in? So this guy came in and walked in and was
Oh.
very disappointed. He said, "I heard that only hot blondes worked here." To my
And there I'm standing behind the bar. I'm like, wah wah.
So we had a couple glasses of wine. I went on Amazon immediately and ordered the best $13 blown wig you've ever seen in your life. And
So
we
now
should
I'm
post a
prepared.
picture. Now we have it in case that ever happens again. Michael can go in the back and put on his blonde wig.
So if you ever come in and want to be served by a blonde, and I'm there, I got that covered. Here's
It is the best. It's the best $13 I've ever spent in my whole entire life.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's a really nice wig. It's
For
kind of
$13,
luscious.
you can have
$13.
Oh my god.
And it came with a comb too.
You,
No extra charge.
you gotta send me that picture.
Yeah, we gotta
So,
post that
yeah.
with
It's probably gonna have to go on Facebook. You can decide if you feel like
No,
it.
that's fine.
You
No,
decide after.
I have no problem with actually having hair for a period of time. So whether
It was
it's
worth
blonde or not.
every penny.
Yes.
I love it. So, like, what's the worst part of the job?
Slow days.
I don't mind slow days. Like, I get things done that I know that I'm like, like emails and.
Eating lunch.
Yeah, Michael always has it. We get to work at 10:30. Michael's eating his lunch by 11 every time.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Slow
I would
days.
say
are
getting
good.
in the weeds. I hate, like, I love when we're busy, but I hate it when I feel like I'm not giving people the service they deserve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, I really can't think of, like, terrible. I mean, you get that person that tries to, like, you just don't click with, But I don't hate it. I don't think
Yeah.
I hate anything about the job.
I like talking to people, and when there's no people to talk to, then it's kind of like.
I think at Mesa Park, the thing I hated the most, and it was 2020 when we'd have to wear our masks and everybody had to sit outside and it was 106 degrees out. That I hated.
That was hard. It was hard working with the masks.
And then we had a little swamp cooler.
Yeah.
You'd literally walk in and you'd be like, like you just had to hold your breath. And you're trying to talk and you can't talk because you're running out of breath because it's so hot. And
There really isn't. I mean, bad is relative. I mean, we're pouring wine.
yeah.
What can be bad about that?
Yeah.
Good point.
Nothing. Even like when you get the really, really drunk people, I find it, because we've all been there. We've all been overserved or overdrank too much. And like, you just have to go with the flow and you're like, all right, well, you should do some water.
How about a little water for you now, huh?
Or when you get that group of girls, they're all laughing, and the next thing you look over and they're all crying. You're like,
Oh, there are a lot of bachelorette parties that come through the valley,
yeah.
and they're all just having fun. And so,
Well, in the morning they're fun. By the afternoon, you're like, maybe we should just do a bottle. I'm not gonna go through my whole spiel.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all been drinking all day.
Yeah, you can tell. Can you just tell by the look?
Read the room.
yeah, no,
Glazed.
that's what we were talking earlier about the tips training. That the biggest part of tips training was recognizing people who have had too much, and it's really not all that hard to do.
No,
No, it isn't.
like you said, we've all been there. We've all done it. Like
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
long as they're not driving or
Yeah,
they have somebody. And most all the bachelorette parties have a driver.
they do.
Like
They have a
Pali
limo
tours
service, Pali tours, or
Yeah.
Pedicab.
something like
Pedicab.
that. Yeah,
And see, that's what's fun.
Trolley.
We get more of that down
Yeah.
here than at Mesa Park. It was more of a destination
Yeah.
winery.
Yeah.
Where here you get more down at Blue Beryl because we're down in town. You get more of the
You have more cyclists, pedicabs, trolley
people just coming in for a glass
Yeah.
and kind of like what would you say? It feels more like a wine bar than like a winery.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of more locals come in and just
Yeah, locals use it as kind of like, again, growing up in Wisconsin, it was a tavern culture. And a neighbor of mine said that he enjoys coming to Palisade because the wineries have sort of taken that spot you can show up and you probably are going to run into somebody you know.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. But we lived in, Paul and I lived in Wisconsin for about a little less than 2 years because I couldn't handle the winter. But I love that tavern culture. I missed it.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't connect that until you just said that.
Yeah,
that's
no,
a really similar feeling
Sunday,
here.
I always work Sundays usually because it's Sunday Fun Day. It's all locals usually that come in the afternoon. You've been in, we've done it, and then we'll sit, and when, by the time I close, I'll sit and have a glass of wine with all the people, and then we close up. And Fridays too, Friday afternoons, FAC, Sunday Fun Day.
I don't think I've ever worked a shift where I didn't have a friend, a neighbor, or multiples thereof stop in. And then those folks know each other too. So, I mean, the valley's not that big.
Yeah, all the locals stay away on Saturdays for the most part.
Yeah, it's- Saturdays are tourist
Saturdays
days.
are the, yeah.
Yeah, so Fridays.
Let the things happen that would pay the bills.
Friday, Sunday afternoon, those are local times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is this on?
That'd be funny.
You know what's funny?
Are we recording?
My first thing on my list is, are you recording? I usually put it in bold, but I didn't put it in bold in this one because, like, that's my biggest fear, is that you go through this whole thing, you take people's time, you get all these good stories, and then I'm like, oh shit.
Did I get it?
Oops, can we do it again?
No, I totally right. I like, are
Like,
you
well,
recording?
that's not the bottle of tequila.
Seven.
Yeah, right.
Better this time.
We're gonna have to go to the liquor store. Yeah. So, everybody has their expectations for what a winery is. Like, you know, they think you're the owners, whatever. But, like, what's something that happens behind the scenes that people wouldn't expect?
For, I think, a winemaker, so much cleaning.
Oh my God.
So much cleaning.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me before, are you interested in making wine at all? And that's a big fat no. I don't even like to clean my own house alone. Getting in, like, these huge vats. And
We asked for a microwave. Nope. Because you get food smells. And that affects the
well, that was
tasting.
at Mesa. Yeah, because
Yeah,
Mesa
Mesa
Park was,
Park.
you
We asked
made
for
the
this-
wine in
yeah.
the same facility where the tasting room and stuff. And even people with perfume, if they had too much perfume, we'd ask them to be outside just because you can go into the wood barrels. And
We asked for an espresso machine. We thought, wow, we would get more effectiveness out of the workers. Nope. No espresso for you. Just because all those things will affect, and they're really careful about introducing odd things into the wine space. So, but they let me in. So.
But just how much, like, even, like, we talked about this before, it goes into everything, but, like, bottling, like, how dangerous it could be. Like, the bottles can explode. Like, we did a class on sparkling wines, and this guy was like, yeah, my friend lost a hand bottling sparkling wine. And I was like,
wow.
My first instinct was me with a hook that perfectly held a bottle. And I'm like, what happened? And I'm like, champagne accident. Sparkling wine accident, but I'm fine.
I have another
From
hand.
bottle holder to glass holder, bottle holder to glass holder. Perfect little robot hand.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think just the activity of making wine. I mean, barrels breathe. It's called the Angel's Share, and they dissipate alcohol and water, and so barrels have to be topped off. And there's just all kinds of interesting things if you're really a geek about the wine process that happens that people just don't even think about.
Yeah. No sleep, the freezes.
No.
Like the weather, the weather's scary. Even in the springtime, which doesn't affect grapes at all, but like the peaches and all the things, and like I'll wake up and look at the temperature, even though it's really not going to affect me, but it affects all of us.
Yeah.
We
Our tourists, like in tourist season, but they'll be like, oh my gosh, it's 32 degrees.
I think we were down to, I think this was last year, the grapes were looking voluptuous. That's the best way to describe them. And I was talking to Brandon, and I said, when are you going to pack? And he said, well, we're coming up to the window. And then he said, the next 3 weeks are the scariest 3 weeks of any wine, because he said, anything will screw it up now. If it's too wet, that screws it up. If it's too hot, it screws it up.
When you got
we get birds, it screws it up. So like you have this 3-week window where you don't sleep because your crop is like almost perfect, and anything can
And you
ruin
can have
it.
those freak freezes in September, and we didn't. Nobody harvested last year. I mean, some people were like pushing it all the way to the end of October. Like, I don't know. It's just stressful. It's a lot of stress.
Yeah, I
you think of
commend
your whole season can go being.
Yeah. Any of the fruit growers in the valley, I have the utmost respect for because there's so much out of their control.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. It's too stressful. Yeah, because you can't control it.
No.
Oh.
There's nothing you
When
can do.
people come in and they're like, "Oh, are you the owner?" I'm like, "No, I still go on vacation.
I sleep well.
I
at night."
sleep at night most of the time." Like I was like, "No." Or when people are like, "I think we should move to Palisade and open a winery," I'm like, "I know a few for sale." Like, I think every single one's for sale. You just have to know,
You're the right person.
right? Just put the money, show the money.
Oh man. Well, so for somebody who wanted to get into doing what you do, what would you tell them?
Do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Springtime, start pounding the pavement, get that resume out, and
Yeah.
if you're a people person, like the rest will come. You don't need to know everything about wine because you wouldn't learn.
No.
If you know the basics, like right between what's a red wine, what's a white wine.
Yeah, I think the social aspect of it, if you have that sort of nailed down, everything else can probably be taught to you. It isn't. It's a fun job. It's not without it being tedious. I mean, like right now we have 6 wines that we pour. And
You have to multitask. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to know who's on first, who's on second.
You have
We had
multiple.
somebody that worked with us one time that would write them all down, and I'm like, but we have like, and they all kind of like work together. So it's just, if you don't remember, just be like, hey, what wine are you on?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But no, like you have to be able to be like, I know what's coming next.
Yeah.
And it's weird. We just get it. Like you kind
Yeah,
of
it happens pretty quick, but
multitasking. I think is the best
yeah,
word.
it's just you have to have the ability to deal with a lot of balls in the air simultaneously, and it all comes. So, but no, it's a fun job. I recommend it to anyone who's looking for a part-time gig and likes people and likes wine. I mean,
Yeah, be able to do like I think that last Saturday you and I worked together. We were busy. I think I did like 14,000 steps that day, and
oh yeah, no, you'll get your
and then
steps.
you're picking up cases of wine. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely a little physical, also besides not only the mental but also
Yeah.
physical.
I like that though. I love a job where you can just get, like, I'm not a go to the gym person or workout person like you
Yeah.
were talking about. Like, I like how you can just kind of get activity as part of your job without
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah, you'll get activity.
Oh,
Yeah.
you will get active, and then you love it when you get home and like, especially at Mesa Park, 'cause we had walks, and so you're walking. You could wear the most comfortable shoes. I'd get home and like. And once you stop walking, then your feet like get up. My husband's like, "You're walking like you're 90 years old." I'm like, "Shh, my feet are 90 years old right now." Like
It was like walking through sand. Like the next day, my hips would always be like tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because the patio at Mesa was gravel. And that was one of the things when I was talking to Courtney and Jackie at the Blue Barrel. I'm like, oh, your patio is a hard surface.
Yeah, we were like, and you don't have to walk as far, but you still get as many steps. I feel like because
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, that makes a difference when you're like sinking in the gravel. It's like walking on the beach. You know, walking on the beach is so
I
much more
had
painful.
really
than-
defined
What?
calves after running.
And then one year, Brandon,
You're still defined.
they were getting more gravel, but I think it was supposed to be for like the driveway or something. But he had it all dumped like in the tasting room area, and Laura and I were like, "Why, Brandon?" Like, so before it, disperses out a little bit, and it's just like you're walking. And what'd you say? We thought Mesa Park, the end was going to be the gravel for you.
Yeah, so when Laura gave us the heads up that they were going to just concentrate on being wholesale fruit growers, I was kind of sad about the whole thing, and I said, I wasn't really sure how this gig at Mesa Park was going to end. I said, I thought the gravel was going to eventually be the end to me.
I can't do it. I physically can't walk through the gravel.
I can't walk through the gravel.
So you would have
anymore.
worked there until you couldn't physically walk anymore.
That is wine server dedication.
That
It is. I thought that I would be there until Laura was like, "You're too old for this. You should probably retire."
But I'm older than you, so
Yeah.
I would have had to go first.
Yeah, but you're in better
so,
shape than me.
I don't know. Yeah.
You ride your bike up the
Awesome.
monument.
Do you want to open another one, or how do you guys feel about that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Is this
Like.
I'm sure if you don't drink it, you can take it home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That looks like a Sauvage.
Terrible. Yes.
Have you been down to the Sauvage Spectrum tasting room in Uray?
You know what? I've been to Uray a few times, and every time I go there, it is not open.
Oh, it's cool. It's a really great. I mean,
It looks
take
gorgeous.
the Palisade experience and put it in Uray.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we when my parents visited, they visited when we first moved here in like October, And we took them down today, and because I knew they'd love it. And my dad and they're like looking around. They're like, "Why did you move here?"
Like, there's nothing to do here.
I'll bring you back here
Physically, I mean,
in January.
I know.
That's
No,
why.
but January is busy too because you have the
Yeah.
ice
Yeah, but you
climb.
have snow up your yin yang.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was sorry? Oh no.
And they have black truffle potato chips from Spain
Oh, I
Where?
love those.
at the Ray tasting room.
They have those somewhere else.
They have them at the
they have them here.
what's the little gourmet store in Grand Junction called?
Hog and Hen?
Hog and Hen. They sell
Yes.
them at the Hog
They
and
have
Hen.
them at Savage here.
Oh, they
because
do?
I got those like
Okay,
2 weeks
yeah,
ago
they're
because I
like-
love those chips.
You will inhale the bag.
Yeah.
I like anything from Spain.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's like the truffle flavor that they got into those chips is out of control.
No, you know who
You gotta have these.
brought this to Mesa?
Lisa Ness. Yeah, Lisa's awesome.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
was pairing them
I'm
with
gonna
like the wines.
Ooh. Gosh, this table is very jiggly.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Cheers.
No, we just spent 4th of July there with Patrick and his
Yeah,
family.
I
Were all
like
there.
Uray.
It was fun.
When I lived in Denver, Uray was a 7-hour drive, and now you can go to Uray for lunch.
Right. Yeah, like a couple weeks ago, we just went down. I tried to do the veer for how to climb down to the river, and I was like, nope.
Really, you didn't do it? Because this one's much more fruity,
Yeah.
much more jammy.
Yeah.
Well,
very
Syrah's
good.
more of the first wine was a Syrah from Bookcliff. It was
Mhm.
definitely more that spicy.
Well, and what's tough about this office, as you can tell, so we're right above Slice of Life, and then we're right by Fidel's kind of exhaust. So like at this time of night, it smells like hamburgers and meats or whatever.
Yeah.
So like
Thanks.
definitely messes with your smell. And then in the morning, it smells like powdered sugar. Bread.
That's not a bad thing.
There's a little more pepper in this one too. I like that.
You get the jamminess.
It's
Yeah,
it's
I like it.
it's ripe, but it's dry ripe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I get,
Dried
after we
fruit.
leave here, I get to go to the American Wine Society meeting tonight. And we're
Ooh.
doing Southern Rhone Valley.
Yeah.
So with all the greats, Julianne, Joe Sauvage, Ginny Baldwin Eaton.
That's the other thing about
Cool.
Palisade is there's these. When you think of the Colorado wine industry, your mind goes to like it's thousands of people.
Mm.
It's a couple hundred at most, right? And the people who make that go are salt of the earth people. I mean,
Like if
They're
I
just
could
great.
have a quarter of the knowledge that those ladies that I just mentioned have about wine, like that would be happy at one day. Like I sit there and I'm just in awe when they talk about wine, like especially Ginny.
yeah,
Mind blown. Smartest lady I know.
yep, I agree.
And so down to earth and so sweet.
Yes, no, absolutely.
I was so nervous when I first met her because I was like, oh, she's got to be like so pretentious. And I was like, oh, I think I can hang out and have a glass of wine with her. And it's happened.
Nice.
So who is the most pretentious person in the valley?
From me? Oh, I think it depends on how
Loaded
you
question.
define pretentious. I mean,
next
I was
question.
I was just gonna go into like how I feel like the wine is not ever as good when you're drinking out of plastic versus glass. So maybe me right now,
Oh, that's great.
and then it has to be thin glass. And yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah, to be the
So there you
crystal.
go. Yeah,
It does make a difference. I
It
think
does.
it makes
Glass
a huge
shape makes a
difference.
difference.
and materials.
Stem versus stemless. What do you guys think?
Stem.
Stem, so you don't warm the wine up.
Yeah.
Though I always still
Stemless for
grab
the-
it by the top.
I'm always like telling my husband, I'm
Yeah.
like, babe, you gotta hold it by, and he's like, shh, like he just makes it stop being so pretentious. I'm like, no,
Stemless
babe.
is to make it
I'm
easy to
the
wash
one,
the
only one
dishes.
that's like-
Yeah, and that those go in the dishwasher.
Yeah,
so there's
correct.
the plus.
Yeah, like when you're like hanging out at home, barbecuing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've all drank plenty of wine out of solo cups.
Mhm.
What's that scene in Sideways where it pours his like, I forget which Bordeaux or some bottle that he had.
Oh,
And
his
then-
his Sauvignon Blanc, and he's at the chicken restaurant. Or
Yeah,
something.
and he pours it in a solo cup. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
You know, the first time I saw that movie, I hated it. And it took me, because I was so fixated on how annoying of a character he was, it took me a really long time to kind of watch it again and appreciate it.
Yeah, he
one of
was.
those
He was
movies-
so neurotic it made
Yeah.
you nervous. So here's the quick, cute story. My wife had never seen that movie before, and we were staying at a little bed and breakfast in San Luis Obispo, which is right where the whole movie was filmed. And we watched the movie, and she was enthralled with it. She was like, Oh my god! Because it had the love story element to it, and I'm digging it for the wine part of the movie. So, and yet we were within 20 miles of where the entire movie
That
was
and
filmed.
Bottle Shock, I feel like you can watch over. Like Bottle Shock's my favorite, but
And all the Psalms. I like the Psalms.
I like the songs.
Oh, yeah.
I like Sour Grapes. Have you seen Sour Grapes?
I have. That's the whole thing where the guy has all the counterfeit wines or
Yeah,
faked
he's
wines.
like he's a thief, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, if I could go back and do it again, like, because I was really into beer at first, you know, like in your younger days, as we all are, and I work at breweries and all the things, and God, I wish I would have put all that energy into wine and been like a wine broker or something one day, and been able to actually really get educated on that.
That's an interesting point. When I started at Mesa Park from traveling and so forth, I thought I knew quite a bit about wine. And then I realized I
don't even
didn't
know
know
like
jack about wine.
When
It's-
people come in and they're like, you know so much about wine, I'm like, but I really don't. I know a little bit about Colorado wine, a little bit. I know a little, I mean, not even like a tip about Bordeaux wines. I just basically know what they are. And I know where the region is.
You know the 5 varietals that go into
I
Bordeaux.
do know the 5 nobles. I know the 5 nobles. I don't know, there's just little things, and you know, you feel like you know a little bit now. Like I've been to Spain, so I feel like I know a little bit. But I mean, there's just so many. I don't know how these master sommeliers do it. You'd have to have such a break.
It's
I mean,
beyond,
it's like
beyond
what
my
are there,
comprehension.
250 in the world or something?
It's, the masters,
Yeah.
So what kinds of wines were you pouring in New York?
So I worked in an awesome winery. I gotta get some of this wine. But my goal is I gotta get a case, have a party, everybody over and come try it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, I loved this winery, and that's really the one I wanted to work at. So I got lucky enough. I started another one that was more of like a party reputation. I kind of did everything, but this famous party place they had a wine called Red Cat, which was Red Catawba. And they call it the hot tub wine. And that place was just out of control.
Was it sweet?
It was so sweet.
Yeah,
it was just like it coats your throat.
What's it called? Red
Catawba. So Catawba is a native grape for upstate New York or in the Northeast, east. Just a little, like that was a place where there was like a pond outside. I worked there in January, and people despite signs saying "Do not go in the pond." People walked down the pond, fell through the ice. There's people in the pond.
Save
You gotta
the
go
wine.
save them. Yeah, so I worked there for like 5 weeks, and then I luckily got this offer from the other place that I really wanted to work that was more like serious about wine. So there's definitely still a lot of kind of like the native varietals, which do really well there.
Like the Rieslings and so on?
Well, and then there's the European varietals like Riesling, which do really well there. So like Riesling, Pinot Noir does well there.
Muscats.
Yeah, Muscat, absolutely. Like they do a sparkling, and the place I worked though, I really thought they did a good job with red wines, like their Merlot, like a cold climate Merlot.
Really?
It was so interesting.
Wow.
Some years they could get a Cab Sauvignon to grow.
Were they real earthy?
Yeah, really, and really fruity and jammy, like strawberry. It was different. And then the Cab Franc, Riesling and Cab Franc are the two that are really, really good there. But the Cab Franc is totally different than the Cab Franc here.
Oh yeah.
What would be the flavor notes that you would associate with a New York Cab Franc?
Much more peppery.
Really?
Yeah.
Like green pepper or black pepper?
More of a green pepper, but not in like a flawed way. Like
Yeah.
in a more of like an earthy way.
Yeah.
And definitely fruity. Always like strawberries, fruit like blackberries, blueberries.
Do you know what kind of oak they used? Was it?
They usually use French,
Did
but
they?
it would be like used French. I mean, not used.
Neutral.
Neutral.
Yeah.
I always thought in my head used.
Well, no, it's so funny you said that because I'll introduce a wine. I'll say this was made in neutral oak, and they're like, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "Used oak."
Well, it's been
Previously used barrel.
previously.
Not too oaky. But they do Chardonnay. Sparkling wines are really good also because it's kind of like the low.
Isn't Bulgarian
Sugar.
oak like a neutral oak too?
Or like Hungarian.
Bulgaria.
Or Hungarian.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cab Franc, if you happen to get one from Aspen Peak, I think it's American oak and it's spectacular.
Yeah.
It adds like a smokiness to it.
That's great. Like American oak, sometimes I don't like because it can be too of that.
It's a little spiky, but
Yeah.
it can add that kind of
But
smoke.
I think then you can
layer.
lay it down a little
Yeah.
longer, right? And
Yeah.
it has that big.
Yeah. It has those bourbon-esque qualities.
Do you have
to it.
any of the cowboy cabs from Mesa Park?
No.
No.
But I have tasted them.
Recently?
At the last pickup party when Laura pulled out all the library wines. It is either you love it or you
I have one, and I also have a Merlot.
a
What is-
Daryl.
A Daryl Merlot.
Ooh. What's the cowboy?
It was Cab Franc Merlot, and the previous owner of the winery was Chuck, and he kind of
Him and Brandon made that wine together.
Yeah, he
it was
was-
the first wine that Brandon.
he kind of viewed himself as like a cowboy, and Laura did this beautiful label of a cowboy walking through the vines into the sunset, and it was
Holding a bottle
it was
of
homage. That's my only French word I know. Homage
Homage.
to Chuck's farewell. So, and people
People would like when
People
Chuck
would
was
show-
there, they would have him sign the bottle. And, like,
people showed up a year later asking if we had cowboy cab, and I was like,
or they'd be like, "Where's
Sorry.
Chuck and Patty?
yeah, sorry.
Patty used to make us bread."
Yeah. Did you ever meet Chuck?
No.
Oh, you will have to meet Chuck and Patty.
Chuck is Chuck's a great guy. Yeah, he would show up on Friday afternoons, and he'd sit at the tasting room bar and have a glass of wine, and he would tell you the history of the valley. You know, firsthand history of like who planted what and where and how. And so it was good.
Well, the one to talk about that with is Bennett. Bennett knows.
Bennett, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Bennett knows all the things. Bennett's been around for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck didn't come
Bennett-
to the valley until a little later.
But he knew, like I think Bennett.
Ken also.
Yeah, Ken. Bennett planted. Didn't Bennett plant the vines at Mesa?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Bennett planted, I would say, probably 75% of the vines in
Yeah.
the valley.
And
I mean,
did I just hear that DeBeck sold?
DeBeck sold a while ago, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not a while ago, like a couple months ago.
And it's.
But
is
did they
it-
close?
Is it
I
Mesa?
think one night you and I, we were all talking
Yeah.
about buying it. We're like, let's
Oh,
get
yeah.
together.
Is,
and
uh,
I know. I
buy
would
it.
just love
Is
that.
it Mesa Park's neighbors that bought it?
It's investors. I think is what the thing's called.
I see.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it actually close?
Yeah, it's been closed for a while.
Oh, okay.
I think that
Darn.
Bennett would try to keep it open. They just did a big yard sale. And it was,
Oh, I mean like the sale closed.
Oh, I saw that. They were selling
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
in the
yeah, I
tasting
think
room.
it
I
might
really
be.
wanted to go to the yard sale.
Yeah.
I did
Missed
too, but
it.
I was in Denver, darn
Mhm. Yeah.
it.
I'm looking to you for
I'm
guidance.
giggling. I know you're
Go-
looking at me. I'm like, oh.
Ask me a question.
I guess. I mean, I really just had 2 official questions left, but you can talk about whatever you want. But do you just foresee yourselves kind of continuing to work at Blue Barrel? Like, would you love if you were going to retire from Mesa Park when the gravel got to be too much? Would you love to just retire from Blue Barrel? And what's your future like, you think?
I would like to stay at Blue Barrel as long as they'll have me. It's a beautiful family. It's a beautiful property. I loved Mesa Park. I was very sad and I totally understand their decision, but that was kind of, I felt like the Blacks were family too, not only friends, but family, and I feel like that's kind of probably hopefully happens with the Wells and Kales, but like, yeah, I love working at Blue Barrel.
Yeah, that's the way I feel, and that's one of the reasons why I think we both ended up at Blue Barrel. Is it has that same. It's
Small
a small
family.
uber boutique, not just boutique, but like super boutique.
They're doing what,
Um,
500 cases a year right
yeah,
now? Hopefully, which will
yeah.
go up to 800-900 next year.
Family. I've always told Courtney that my greatest fear is a family member is going to walk in the front door of the winery and I'm not going to recognize them.
Oh, well, like the men kind of stay away. It's cute. Like it's the women's, it's Courtney and Jackie pretty much, and her sister has her own thing going on. But the boys have they do all train. They own a different company, so they have their thing. And
Yeah.
Zach's there a lot. Zach's very hands-on.
Yeah, Zach and Courtney are great. The whole family's great. I loved working with the Blacks and Maya, Brandon, Laura. So yeah, no, it's
No, I hope to
there's
stay there
something
as long as
about
possible.
I think the personality of Amy and I is that we're more attracted to more of that family environment.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would leave Mesa Park. They had to literally like push me out the door. I was like, the way I get to stay here.
Laura would give me grief for this because she said I'm too nostalgic one time. But I was in a funk for a couple of weeks after
I know
staying
when she
out.
told us,
so-
I was like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And I was like, I think I need to order a drink.
Oh, yeah.
When we started crying.
Yeah, that's right. We went out to lunch and he
Yeah,
was like,
she-
I need a cocktail.
She broke up with us in Publix.
Yeah. It's not you, it's me.
And I kind of knew something was coming, but like, oh, yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, it was.
And you go through like the whole emotions. Like I was sad and I was angry at them. And then
Yeah.
I mean, I understood always, but then you're like, you guys are my life. Like,
Well, they went out on top. I mean, and I told this to Laura. They had 4.9 Google reviews, which is unheard of when you're in the hundreds.
hundreds and hundreds, yeah.
Brandon had double gold, almost every wine he made. Let's put it
With
this
at
way:
least a
every
silver.
every
And the
wine
Governor's
he
Cup.
submitted,
Yeah.
medaled.
Right, and the Governor's Cup.
Yeah.
Right.
They sold out of every vintage they ever manufactured, ever produced. People loved Mesa Park, and I
We
get
got
it.
Winery of the Year. We got Google Winery of
we
the
were
Year.
best of the West winery. So I mean, Laura and Brandon did it right, and I get why they made the decision they did, and
It's
I
funny when
and I
people
respect
come in
that.
and they're like, so what happened? Why did it? And I'm like, they make it sound like something happened.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
no, it was-
a baby happened. Their
Yeah.
lives happened. Like things, like I get all like offensive. I'm like, they were just done. They were tired. Like it's a lot of work. This is like the classic. When you go into this farming thing, it's not for the weak. It's not, and not that they're, you know what I mean. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, and well, so I think I told you I talked to her. So she's like the next episode that I
Okay.
have coming out, but I think what's hard about it is like
What did she say about us?
you're wonderful. No, but like they're so good at it. It's hard
Oh
to
my God,
understand when you're so good at it why you would.
That's
like,
what I always said. If Brandon sucked at
Why
making
stop?
wine, it would have been like, oh.
Right.
we-
But they're so good. Like the awards that you mentioned, there are not many. Yeah, they won something for everything they submitted, which does not
I
happen.
love Carboy, but we
for
should have
other
got
people.
Wine of the Year, and I will stick to my guns through thick and thin.
We-
Equilibre was one of the best wines that
Laura was just about to have
I
Maya,
have a bottle.
and we were sitting at the Best of the West presentation, the Grand Junction Sentinel Awards, and they announced Best Winery, and it was Mesa Park.
And we never,
And-
we were like, they forgot us, because they did third, second, and I'm like, and we just never even thought, like, we never thought we'd get one.
Well, and Laura was like holding back tears. And when you talked to her about it, she was like, if you only realized how much work it took to get to that point.
Yeah.
And it was a affirmation of everything that her and Brandon had done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't, all you can do is just respect and honor those two for what they are. And Courtney and Jackie are on that same path. I have never seen, when I'm at the winery and I look out in the vineyard and I see Jackie out there and it's like 98 degrees and she's weed whacking, I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
Jackie's a badass.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I've said it once. I'll say it all day long. I mean, the whole family is such hard workers.
The work ethic and and that
You
was
can
on
taste
in
it
both
in wine.
both wineries. The work ethic is off the charts.
I know, sometimes when I'm home and I'm like, oh, today maybe I'll just be a little lazy and maybe I'll just watch a little Bravo TV before I start my laundry. And then I'm like, what would the Jackie?
What would
want?
Jackie be
Yeah, I'm
doing?
like, what would Jackie be doing right now? I'm like, shit. Should probably get up and start weed whacking something. Go for a and you too. Like she's like, it's 106 out, but I went for a hike today. Where did you guys hike?
Garfield.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, on Sunday. Yeah.
Oh my God! Good
What
for
a
you!
badass.
Wow! Wow!
Well,
Good for you.
I don't know. To me, it's hot. It's hot. Like it doesn't feel any different. To me.
Not me.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm at that magical age too, where I'm just hot. Like if it's not hot, like I'm like,
It's a dry
hot.
heat, though.
Guys, like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, it is.
It's not the same.
We've gotten
hot.
used to it. My wife and I were big hikers, and we've gotten used to it too. And you just you hydrate and
Right.
you wear big flappy hats. And,
Big sun shirt.
So you would go out and hike at 105.
I mean, it wasn't 105 when we did it. We did it in the morning.
no,
Yeah, but I mean, we got done at 1.
Well, I know
I-
you and
It's too
Kristen
late.
and Ed, you guys did a hike one day.
I
Like,
coaxed
would you guys
Kristen
do
up there.
stage?
I was like, I hope Kristen doesn't
Die? She was
because
really
it's my
nervous.
fault. Yeah, but she did fine. Yeah, but it wasn't like 100. So I don't know. I mean, I guess my opinion is like it's hot here, so
Well,
I need to train myself to deal with it because I don't want to sit inside.
For different people, just like
Yeah.
wine. Different
Yeah.
people like different
But it's
things.
switched in the
Totally.
last day or
I
two.
am not.
I like
a
heat.
heat.
It's also gotten humid.
You think
today,
it's humid?
today I went for a
Humid?
bike. I can always tell humidity because I went for a bike ride and my
Well,
upper
probably because
lip,
it's starting. The monsoons are starting everywhere
Well,
around us.
my
You can
upper
see
lip
it.
was dripping. And that's a sign of humidity.
What time did you go for a bike ride?
It was like 9 o'clock. It was only like 83, but it was like really like humid.
Because you were up at like 5.
Well, we gotta walk the doggy. We have a new puppy, and so we gotta walk the dog and stuff. But it all comes together. It's fine. It's fine. I've adjusted.
What kind of dog?
A miniature poodle, a purebred miniature poodle. His name is Ansel.
Oh, very cute.
And he's an absolute godsend, so we love our little doggy. Yeah.
It's your son.
It is. It's our son.
That's adorable. Well, okay. I don't want to take
Last
your
question.
time forever.
Make it a good
but
one.
Okay, maybe it's not gonna be that good. This is the one I always ask everybody because I like to hear across every episode. People do different things or whatever, but still, we all live here in this area.
This is edited, right?
Yeah.
All the bad stuff is gone? Oh, okay.
I don't think there was any bad stuff. I think it's all good.
Can Amy swear? it?
No, but like, so what's your favorite thing about Palisade? Like,
Ooh.
I asked that of everybody.
The people.
Yeah,
The
I would.
people
Yeah,
and the
it's
wine.
the
and
sense
culture,
of community
like,
here.
Everything. I love
Yeah.
Palisade.
It is this little gem in the state of Colorado, and a lot of front rangers don't even realize how cool Palisade is, and maybe it will always stay like
I
this cool
remember
little town.
when Palisade was kind of like a Clifton. Like it was kind of like people would be like, "Oh, I'm going to Palisade to go to the bar," and I'm like, "I'm good. Like, I want to go to the Livery, but y'all have fun." And now I'm just like, "Gosh, it's such a cute, great. It's just what it's become." And you always hear the old timers be like, "Oh, back in our day." But yeah,
It's 3,000 people. It's been 3,000 people for 50 years.
And I'm sure we've all seen like on the things like the arguments about the bikers and like the people, and it's just everything has to evolve. Change is
Yeah.
good. It's hard. Change is good. Palisade's beautiful.
It is, and here's one where the rubber meets the road. Points of evidence. And I know Amy will back me up on this. Almost every shift, people that come from outside the area will inevitably ask, "What's the real estate like?"
Oh, everybody.
Because that's a huge buying signal of like, "Oh my God, Palisade! How cool it'll be to live
I'm
here!"
like you and
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. I remember.
One time I was like, "Actually, Western Slope's closed. You can come visit, but we've closed."
There aren't any houses left. That's a problem.
That is the problem. There's
more
not a
people.
lot of houses here, so
But we
But
both
no.
live in Junction.
yeah. And
I'm close to. I'm northern.
I view
Northwest, so I'm easy.
Yeah.
It's 12 minutes, 13 minutes to get to work from my house.
I view that I live in the Grand Valley. I mean, I look at Fruita Grand Junction Palisade as one big spot. And no, I absolutely love Palisade. I love the people by far, the environment, the fact that it's
The
Colorado's
schools are
fruit
good,
bowl. It's
yeah.
just, yeah.
Everything, all the things.
Yeah. I just wish it had more restaurants.
I know.
That's the only thing about Palisade.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're open.
Are you
for
guys
dinner.
going to open some?
No.
Oh, no.
No. But I would like other people to open some,
Yeah,
please. So, are you guys going to start your own podcast? What do
We
you
talked
thinking?
about it. We always laugh about it, but I think we
Yeah.
talked about
Me too.
everything that we need to talk
Oh.
about.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
I think we're
but
one and done.
I got one more for you. I'm sorry. I think this is the good ending one.
Okay.
This might be a little dark.
No,
But-
I love dark.
Has anybody ever hit on you before? And how do you deal with that?
That's an interesting question. I bet you've had a bunch.
Definitely.
I've had
like,
like creepy old ladies.
I've had a creepy old
How do you
guy
deal
that
with
was
it?
with like his much younger but still older than your wife, and it was awkward. And like he got up to go to the bathroom, and she was like, he's clearly hitting on you, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I was like, I don't think so.
Definitely played up.
But it's just, I mean, it's weird. It's awkward.
And it's usually somebody that's had too much. And I remember it like being like busy Saturdays, and all you do is like, I'm going back to my job now,
Yeah, I don't think I did it as much now as when I did when I was younger, obviously. When you're wearing a wedding ring and all the things. And
Yeah. I remember I forgot who I asked this question of. I said, so give me your tales of the tasting room. Oh, maybe it was the guy at Sauvage. Anyway, He said, "Oh, I remember like a group of ladies trying to talk the pedicab driver to come back to their hotel room." So, are you going to record this? I have a suggestion for the Valley.
Yes.
The alternate forms of transportation, the pedicabs and the trolleys, they're great to get people around the Valley. From the winery standpoint, though, it's an impediment for people to buy wine. There's no way to transport wine. So my suggestion, and this is free, no copyright, would be if there would be some sort of central storage throughout the day that people could like dump wine, or have the pedicab biker store the wine, or have the trolley driver store the wine. So at the end of the day, you would have like your 6 bottles that you bought during the day.
I think that the trolley should do that anyways. Like in the back, have like a big cooler, and you can have like a section.
Yes,
like
like you
A, B, or
you
C,
you get a box with your name on it, and it's going to go into storage location A, wherever that is in the village. And as you buy wines, you put your little sticker on it that says Amy DiMarzio's wine, and it goes in Amy DiMarzio's box.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you take your box. Because what happens now is if you're on the pedicab or the trolley, you do a tasting and you leave.
Yeah.
Even though you enjoyed the wines,
Right.
you don't buy, because what do you do with these bottles that you bought?
Well, people are, I mean, I love people, but there's a little bit of ignorance being like, well, I'll get it next time I come into
Yeah.
We are in 3 weeks. I'm like, sweetie, we are a small winery. This may not be here
Yeah.
for 3 weeks. Like, I
Yeah,
hate to
like
say
the
that.
Syrah.
And people get mad at the Syrah, our beautiful Malbec, like, I mean, these wines. And we just came out with 2 new wines, by the way. Let me plug this. We have a beautiful new oak aged Chenin Blanc.
Old, used oak.
Used oak. Yeah.
And then we
oak.
have a new rosé that's amazing. But both of those, she only did 45 cases each. This
Yeah.
is just because we're trying to play catch up from that 2020 freeze. So,
Right.
yeah, people are like, oh my gosh, I'll just get it. Like, this is going to be amazing in the fall. And I'm like,
Nope.
it won't be here in the fall. But
45
the
cases
store.
is a pallet, and it's gone in a blink of an eye.
yeah, so many people are used to the bigger wineries where it's always there, and
Right.
it's just not always going to be there.
Yeah. That's a great idea, and I kind of don't want to share that because that feels like our $1 million business idea.
No, that's
Not million,
no. If they're
maybe $100,000
yeah, don't.
business idea.
It's yours, because I
Cover
talk
up.
about this with Courtney all the time.
Ooh,
That
let's figure that out.
so Mesa Park got
Laura and I were talking,
Yeah.
we were like,
they got
Talking.
destination tasters who would buy.
Mm-hmm.
The people in the village get all these alternative forms of transportation, which I
Sure.
completely encourage,
Right.
but they
It's
can't
safer.
buy. They
For
have
sure.
no way
They're
to.
always like,
They have
"Oh,
no
no."
way to transport
Yeah.
wine.
But what you have to do when they do that, let me just do it. By now, we'll store it for you. Come pick it up tomorrow.
Right.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
anything else you need to ask us?
No, I don't
Let me
think
check
so.
my
Anything
notes.
else you want to share?
I have one story that Amy will enjoy that we didn't share.
All right.
I
Let's
love that you
listen.
took notes.
So we were talking about Wisconsin,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, I know which one this is.
So people buy wine, and I ask, "Would you like to take your wine home in a bag?" And the lady looked at me kind of funny, and I was like, "Would you like your bottle in a bag?" And
Well,
she looks
but
at
then-
Amy. She looks at Amy. She goes, "I don't know what he's."
No, so
asking."
she'd been drinking a little bit. Like, you could tell. She was like, she looked at me, she goes, sweetie, I don't know what he's asking me. And I was like, he's asking you, because I always give him shit about the BA.
Bag.
And I said, sweetie, he's asking me if you want a bag. And she's like, bag. She's like, I think I'm okay. And I was like, should I carry your bottle of wine out for you? Her husband was waiting in the car, like, honking the horn. And then she just kept, I mean, the eyes were there. It was just like nobody was home. Like, she's like, I don't know what he's asking me.
I mean, to be fair, when you said bay, I wasn't sure either. Just now. So.
I understand, and I have told
Yes.
I have told people numerous times, just hang out, and I will butcher the English language. Anyways, so.
No, Michael and I laugh. I mean, we have so much fun. Like, we laugh to the point of tears sometimes over
I
that.
love that.
It is funny because people who come in from like Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, that within like 4 seconds are like, "Where are you from?"
Yeah. I guess from the
They
Midwest,
pick-
aren't you?
Like, yeah. And sometimes, yeah, when Ray drinks, the yeah comes out.
So I just got a text from my neighbor, and it says there was a terrific article in Sunday's paper about the Blue Barrel. It was disappointing, though, to see that they did not feature the most popular server.
Oh, was I not in it, this one?
Oh.
You're like, poor Amy, she knows.
Yeah. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say Amy already knows. Amy knows she's number one.
Which neighbor was it?
All my neighbors have been to the winery numerous times, and Amy knows all my neighbors.
Like, we're definitely, like, what do you call it, like, work spouses or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, we have our
Yeah, we've been
banter,
together
and, like, Brian and Cheryl
4
think it's
years,
hilarious.
yeah.
Like, there's no, like, jealousy.
No, and I was thinking about that the other day. Even at Blue Beryl, there's this, when you work with people that you respect, and it's a different, the relationship takes on a different level. Because you look at each other as equals.
Well, you said something the other day, so we went to his house for dinner, and he said, we're not friends, we're family at this point. Like,
Yeah,
we're-
absolutely.
We're definitely, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's
So
true.
you're the siblings of the tasting room.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's nothing but, he's
No.
nothing but.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So we always call, so there was this big joke at Mesa Park since I got hired first. I was always number one.
I was number 2.
Oh.
He was number 2. So I'm the big, he's literally the big brother, but I have that little sister mentality.
Yeah, no, it's been good. And again, going back to your questions about what makes Palisade great, everyone's sitting at this table.
Go see Amy and Michael at Blue Beryl Winery for laughs, bags, and great wine. If you're enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving postcards from Palisade, a review, or a rating on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening. With love from Palisade.